Hello everyone, this is Jairus Collinsruth from Autumn Lakes. I am a resident of Autumn Lakes at 3118 Autumn Shores Drive. I want to do a full disclosure with our beginning here. I am a businesswoman first, I am a homeowner second, and I'm doing this to help us in Autumn Lakes. I am not a lawyer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a chemist, I'm not a biologist, but I'm a concerned homeowner and a business person. I've also run a 503c organization before with about 4,900 members, and at that time we built Habitat for Humanity houses as part of the Realtors Foundation. I'm very, very concerned about not only our books, but our life and our home here in Autumn Lakes. There are many important topics we're going to cover today. I'll do this as quickly as I can and as thoroughly as I can so that all of you understand. First of all, Autumn Lakes Association and Autumn Lakes Condominium Association, this is our membership. It makes up of 294 condominiums and 18 single-family homes. That's our membership. Our membership elects trustees. The trustees go to the board, and the board becomes a trustee, a secretary-treasurer, vice president, and then another trustee. And that forms our 503c organization. According to the IRS tax code, 503 organizations with a C on it are charities. We're social, integrated charity organizations. Because of that, we have a nonprofit status. As a nonprofit status, we can acquire grants, we can acquire nonprofit help, we can have people that are nonprofit organizations to do work for us. We can also contact schools to allow the children getting in their community service time, things like that. But there's a lot of great things that come out of that. We are a charity, but we're also an organization. And 503c is very important because we don't pay many taxes, about $100 a year right now. So with all that in mind, being the 503, we also have Mr. Musterman set up for us covenants, restrictions, bylaws, rules and regulations, and all of you should have gotten this book or a book like it when you bought a condominium here. If you didn't, please let us know, and one of us will be glad to either give it to you, either in print, or we can give it to you on a thumb drive. It's very, very important that you have this, because when you go for your mortgage, you have signed, number one, that you have received it, number two, that you understand it, and number three, that you have it in your possession. So if you did not get one, please let one of us know on the Reconciliation Committee. We'll be glad to get it for you. I'll be glad to bring you a zip drive. As we go on, there's going to be lots of things that we talk about. If you don't understand, please let me know. You can email me at jairus.ruth@charter.net. And we have that on all of our brochures and things like that. So as we get into all of this, we're going to cover all these areas here, which is very, very important that you understand that. Covenants, rules, and regulations. These are filed at the St. Louis County Courthouse by Mr. Musterman in 1980 and 1981. That means it is the law. It's just like when you drive a car. You go and take your driver's test. You have to pass the test, and that is the law. Because you pass the test, you can have a driver's license. Same thing. These are laws recorded at the courthouse. Anyone who breaks those laws is in violation of the St. Louis County Courthouse filings. And they were all done to protect each and every one of us. If anything happens, or we need to change it, just like we did in 2014, we added the leasing, we added the FHA, because we had lost our FHA funding, because we let the certificate expire, unfortunately, but we got it back. But everything is signed. You have signed and agreed for it at your settlement when you bought your home, and it's done by all parties. Not who's sitting on, not just us as homeowners, but anyone who sits on the board. Anyone who touches Autumn Lakes or the Homeowners Association signs for that. So let's go on to the next step here. Insurance. This has been a major, major problem. And it's not a problem. I've talked to Pam, which is at Jim Walsh's agency, and we have insurance. We have it. They are also going to renew it. Our insurance right now is $185,000 a year. And they are going to renew it. Now, I'm going to put a caveat in here. You cannot claim a roof that has wear and tear on it as an insurance claim. That is not storm damage, that's wear and tear. If you all remember when the twisters came through, 15 years ago? we had to replace all of our roofs, or almost all of them, because of the twister. So they're 15 years old. They put on a 10 to 15 year shingle, which is a thin shingle. It's wearing out. It's time to replace it. But I'm going to offer something. There are all kinds of new building things that are coming out now. There's Teflon coating for roofs. It's called Roof Max, things like that. You can spray it on your roof. You can match the color, and it reseals and reformats the roof to last another 10 to 15 years. That will save us money now in the long run, and we can start building up our reserves, which is something we really, really have to do. So we do have insurance. It will be renewed. They will come out in October and let us know what the new rate is going to be. Last year it went up about $20,000, so I'm guessing it'll probably go up about that much again. All right, next item. Very, very important. Our books. Let's go to the books. I have only been allowed to get one set of books, and that is for last year. It has blown my mind on what's going on the books. First of all, for the first 5 months of the year, SMG, which I'm going to call SMUG, and you'll see why here in a little bit, from January to May of last year, they have all zeros. All zeros. So they got money in. They're getting in between $89,000 and $100,000 per month. They're not showing any of that. They have no deductions whatsoever for expenses. We pay bills every month. They spend about $100,000 every month. What's going on? That's a major concern, because that tells me that they didn't close out the books for the year before. And when you don't have the books closed out from the year before, and you know April 15th is rolling around, and this is May, we haven't filed with the IRS. And that negates, or can negate, our 503c organization. So instead of paying $100 next year, we may have to pay thousands of dollars if they're not going to do it. And as far as we know, from the July 26th meeting, we were told, haven't seen it, that they closed the books out. I can't find it on the IRS tax code, so I don't know if they did or they didn't. But all we can do is keep looking. So anyway, the books were not closed the year before, and we have proof right there. Some of the other items with their books, we have all kinds of weird operating expenses. If all of you know that if you get something in the mail, for instance, a regular envelope, this is a 4-cent envelope. Buy it at Staples in a pack of 500. 4 cents. They charged us 75 cents last year, and guess what it is this year on the new books? $1.50. So $1.50 per envelope is now going on. The second thing is, thank you. The second thing is the window envelope. This is 5 cents at Staples. It was $1.50 last year, it's now $3. So this is a 100% increase, and it's 2,500% increase over the actual cost. SMUG is what I'm going to call them because that's what it spells out. SMUG is an a la carte company. So if you go to a restaurant and you purchase different entrees and different appetizers, that's a la carte. Well, this is an a la carte company. Everything they do is individual. They charge $40,000 a year just for their management, which I don't know quite what they do, but then there's additional charges. So every time you call Town Square, a call comes in, that's a charge. It goes to somebody else to figure it out, that's a charge. It goes to somebody else, that's a charge. Then it ends up going into the main person who closes it out and then sends it over here to Charlotte Smith or SS, whatever. It's closed out here, put into a pile here. All these are charges. If you call on a weekend, oh my gosh, the after hours on call. The after hours are in Dallas. They go from Dallas to here, to here, to here, to here, and then finally back over here to Charlotte. Charges, charges, charges all the way around. And they're all different fees. The weekends are very high. It's an a la carte business, that's all I can say. Every charge, every time, so they're getting $40,000 a year plus all this other. It ends up being, it looks like from all the book adding up, it looks like they're getting about $10,000 to $15,000 more. Now, Chris is another problem. Chris is on the books. He's getting between $12,000 to $15,000 for ALA, and he's getting about $22,000 to $25,000 a year from the condominiums. So we put it together, about $40,000 to $50,000 somewhere in there. Does he get it all? I don't know, but it looks like it. And what does he do? The suggestion from the committee is that he does timestamp. So as he does something, he should timestamp it. When he's done, timestamp it. We have one example where he took out a bush or two at a condominium. It took him 6 months to take 2 bushes out. I'm sorry. And his $17,000 tractor that they bought for him, which is just now appearing on the books, $17,000 Kubota for him to ride around Autumn Lakes. What is he doing with it? What work is being accomplished? I have no idea. I have yet to personally see him. I don't know. That's a major problem. Now, there's another problem that I have found, which really, really bothers me. SMG doesn't check. They don't have an oversight person. They don't have a checker. And I want to explain this. My husband and I were on the naughty list. I'm going to call it the naughty list. It's called the deficit, or we didn't pay our bill on time. On the naughty list, it stated that we owed $82. Well, we didn't. Mark went, and we pay ahead, which we always have. And according to the chart, we were supposed to be paying $284 a month. And guess what? Our book came in at $266. Nobody checked the coupon books. So if you're on the naughty list and you got one of those naughty little letters from everybody, you need to check what it's stating that you're supposed to be and what they're claiming you are not paying. Because here's our example. 284, it was 266 and 284. We were on the naughty list. We paid it up. Mark showed evidence of it. Everything is here, marked, paid for. All you have to do is check which one you are and go from there. Really, really bad oversight. So if you're on that list, please check, because many of them are a couple dollars, some of them are hundreds of dollars. Another thing you need to check is the book comes from here on Depere. Associates Relocation, or Associate and Smug, are out of Richardson, Texas, 2 locations, and all the bills and money goes to Kansas City. You have 3 entities working together here. As you have 3 entities working together, they don't overlap right. So if you mail in your check and you get a $15 late fee, is it your fault? Or is it the mail fault? Or is it theirs for not documenting your account? Check it. Another thing we have to look out for on the coupon books, which is really, really annoying. George Musterman, when he set up all of this, he had put in a very specific item. That very specific item is how much you can assess the association and its members next year. At the time he did this, if any of you can remember back to 1980, 81, 82, our interest rates were 15 to 22%. I know it because I had 2 mortgages at 21 and 23%. I know for a fact that it was extremely expensive during that period of time. Our cap is 10%, but it's based upon the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. The Consumer Price Index governs how much the consumer is paying in fluctuations from year to year to year. Now, for instance, our increase last year, based upon all of SMG's information, which they sent us, was 8%. The CPI last year was only 7.5%. So they have overinflated the amount of money you're supposed to pay every month. So is that a refund that's due you? Or what? Now this year, the CPI so far is 3.4%. So what are they going to do next year? Are they going to try and just obliterate that and say, okay, well, we need this amount of money, like they did? They stated in this letter to us about our payment that they just go through and say, okay, we're going to charge this much. No, no, no. It's in our rules, regulations, and filed at the courthouse. There is no way that they can get away with this. So Smug is smugging you. They're smugging you on money. They're smugging you on charges. They're smugging both associations on everything. So this year, we need to make sure that our assessments do not go up any more than 3.4%, which is what it is right now here in the United States. And it's in our rules, it's in our laws, and it's filed at the courthouse. It's not just made up. It's all here. Now, let's talk about the books again. Because there's 2 associations, and most people don't realize there's 2 separate entities here that go and merge into one. Both entities have reserve accounts. ALA has theirs. These are the homeowners and the land. These are the condos. So there's a reserve account here and there's a reserve account here. As of the end of March, there was $425,000 in this account, and there was $285,000 in this account. But the problem is, when you're overspending, and a 503c organization is supposed to be balanced all the way through. So you take in $1 million, you spend $1 million, that's it. You're not supposed to be drawing from those reserve accounts. Those reserve accounts are specific for master major problems. It is not for day-to-day business. So when you don't have enough money coming in and you write checks, which they're doing, and I have all the check ledgers here, they're doing it. There's 300 pages here. They just write checks. They have to borrow in order to make ends meet from the organization. So this is how they're doing it. Okay, today they need $10,000. So they took it from ALA, the ground, put it over to condos. Then somebody's wise idea the next day, and I have it here, they slide it back because guess what? That didn't take enough. So they slide that back and take $14,000. So then they realize, oh my God, we need more money, we need more money. So they slide that back over, and then they end up taking 24. So in the course of 2 days, they actually took $24,000 out for the condos to make ends meet, and they do this every month, almost every day. So when we got to the end of the year, as Mark Gavin pointed out in one of the newsletters, we had to take $184,000 out of the reserve accounts in order to make bills pay, make it meet. Because we must have balanced budgets. That's ridiculous. Now, because we have an a la carte business, it's going to be highly recommended that we do an audit on all of these books. It's so important to figure out where this money's going, why we don't have any reserves, and what the heck is going on. In a 503c organization that's taking in $1 million a year, we should have 2.5 times that in the reserve accounts. 2.5 times, that's $2.5 to $3 million. That should be in our reserve account. Same with the ALA. Their reserve account is sitting at $200,000 plus, and they're taking in about $68 a month from 18 homeowners. So figure that out. It needs to be 2.5 to 3 times that in their account also. That way, we've got everything covered for our major expenses. What if we have an earthquake? What if we have another twister? What if we have a catastrophic event here happen? Who's going to take care of that? Our insurance has a $15,000 cap on it. That's a deductible per each homeowner. So each homeowner is responsible for $15,000. Then the association after that. But if there's no money sitting in the account, guess what? It's not going to happen. It may have to be that we take on more homeowners insurance, just a suggestion, just in case. Now we have earthquake insurance on our unit, just because we're on the New Madras Fault, and guess what? We're having earthquakes every day if you look at the news reports. So we need an audit. We need an audit for at least the last 4 years. I don't think there was a lot of stuff going on with AMC, but we need to check. And definitely SMUG has smugged us in every shape, way, and form that they have. They send out these little blurbs saying this is the budget, but this isn't the budget. The budget is this. And a lot of times, if you look through this, and I'll be happy to share it with anybody, they zero it out. When you do a budget, you're supposed to have last year's actual, this year's projected, and then the budget. 3 columns. And you need it per month, per quarter, per year. Not this. This is, oh yeah, this is what we got, this is what we have. Or they said, we had $525,000 in the reserve account on the 26th of July. No way, no way. Where'd that come from? Guess what? I think that they probably took our assessments that came into the checking account, flipped them over to the reserve account just to look really, really good, like what they were doing back here, flipping back and forth. And that's what I believe they did. I can't find that we had an excess amount of all that money coming in the matter of from 2:30 to 7 o'clock that night. There's no way, no way. Anyway, we need to do an audit, do 4 years, be safe, get it done, spend the money and do it. because then we can see where the money's going, where it's not going, and what they're not doing. Now, they just did all these driveways. This is an expense. This is a major capital expense on driveways. $55,000 was spent on 12 driveways. Where is that in the budget? Nowhere, nowhere, and nowhere. So who's paying for this? And now this week we're going to have driveway coatings. So I figure it's probably $500 to $1,000 per driveway in here. There's 294 minus the 10 or 12, so we're talking about 284 driveways that are going to be done. Let's try and figure that out. Somebody get out a calculator and tell me where that money's coming from, because it is not in our budget. We can't even make our monthly bills. We have in the March 31st books that I just received off Town Square, and with Mark Gavin's help, we have not paid our bills on time. There are 2 or 3 late payment fees that SMUG had to do for our bills. Can you believe it? The organization which these people right here hired as a property manager are messing with not only our money, but they're not paying our bills on time, because guess why? They don't have any money. There's one day or 1 month that ALA only had $25 in their checking account, and that's on the March 31st books. $25 in that account. How is the condo, common area, land, and homeowners paying their bills on $25 a month? Can't. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Audit. Get rid of these people. They're smugging us. Another thing I want you all to know and realize that every time you submit a credit card payment or an HCH where you're sending your payment in directly, you are being charged. The credit card payment is 2.5%. Most banks are charging 0.5 to 1.5%, so I think that SMUG is getting the 1%. I can't prove it because I can't see what Premier Bank is doing. That's not any of the checking account. I have Premier checking accounts here. I don't know where that other percent is coming or going to, but I know that you're getting charged, and that's not fair to you. So every time something happens, they're charged everything. Let's talk about something else that SMG does. They're putting us in double and triple jeopardy. And I want to explain that. When we sell a condominium or a homeowner, a home in here, we have to do what's called a resale cert. The resale cert determines how many units there are, and it determines the amount of money that there is in the reserve account, and if there are any capital expenses. Now, according to the resale cert that I have here in my possession, we only have 284 condominiums, of which only 278 are occupied, and we have no capital expenses, and the assessment for this person's unit is $300 a month, which is correct. It says there's no late fees, there's no problems, and no capital expenses. And it says see financials. There were no financials given with this. There was no condo rules and docs. This book should have been presented because it states, did they receive it? Nope. So, instead of 294, we have 284. We have 278 that are owner occupied. When we filed the 2014 amendment, recorded at the St. Louis County Courthouse, we were limiting that to 10. Where did the other 4 come from? I'd like to know where these others are. Another thing is, where in the heck is the apartment in Autumn Lakes? Don't we have condos? We have an income showing on here. Last year, the apartment, wherever it is, brought us $650 a month. In January and February this year, it only brought us $200 a month. So, what's going on and where's the apartment? If anybody knows, please let me know. I want to know. Where is the apartment? Have no idea. So, anyway, resale cert, wrong. So the books are wrong, the IRS isn't filed, the resale cert is wrong, the buyer did not get his copy of rules and regulations. He never saw the financials. Never. He had to beg, borrow, and steal to get them. Triple jeopardy. The IRS can come in, RESPA and HUD can come in. We are in big trouble because they are jeopardizing us. It's time to get rid of them. Even if, you're not going to like this, but even if we went back to AMC for a short period of time or an interim period of time until we can find a better organization that doesn't have 140 homeowners associations that they're working with across the country, whose office is out of Richardson, Texas, not Missouri, and who doesn't know what's going on. They've gone through, what, six managers over there now in less than a year? Maybe 7? I don't know. I've called 7 times to try and get information, which by denying me the information, because I am a member and an owner, is against the law. They have violated the Missouri Condominium Act. The Missouri Condominium Act prevents homeowners associations and their board members to give us information. We as a member are required to have any and all information we want. So another thing that SMUG has done to us is they have added collecting 3 months of condo fees on the HUD sheet. A HUD sheet, we all know what the HUD sheet is. We all bought a house. You can't collect fees ahead of time without it being a filed amendment with the bylaws recorded at the courthouse. That's the RESPA, RELRA, and HUD requirement. These are national federal laws. You cannot do that without it being amended. So, triple jeopardy. Didn't file our books. Resale cert is wrong. Asking for 3 months up front. Who gave them permission? Why did it happen? What's going on? We're in big trouble. We have to get rid of them. I'm sorry. I would never have hired them. First of all, they're not here. Number 2, they're inexperienced. I think they're clerks. I don't think any of them are accountants. Mrs. Lopez from Richardson, Texas sends all this stuff. She sent it on June 15th for December 31st. I think that's 6 months after the legal law. December 31st to June, 6 months, illegal. She didn't have any of the other books done when I requested them, and I still haven't gotten them. And it's been requested, I have it in writing, nobody has responded. So we have violation, violation, violation. Also, in our covenants, rules, and restrictions, in that big book. It's all marked and I have it all documented. Anybody that wants to see the actual sightings and numbers, articles, I'll be very, very happy to show you, because if you look, I've taken the pages out. All these yellow tickers, those are all violations. Not only by SMUG, but by our board. All violations. And every one of them are sightings. It's just a shame what's going on. All right, let's go on to the next one. Payment dates. This is the books also. October, you're supposed to have your budgets ready or started. December 1st, you do your estimates. December 15th, you notify the owners, us, the owners, of what's going to happen for the new budget. And December 31st, you close it out, resolve it, and then you have till January 15th of the next year to notify us if there's any changes. And that's on page 7,320, and it's number 443. By March 15th, all books and all financials are to be to the owners. And that's on book 7320, page 444. All in our covenants, rules, regulations, restrictions, all filed at the St. Louis County Courthouse. All right, what a shame. Whoever hired this outfit, number 1, did not vet them. Vetting them is searching them out, finding out what the heck, who they are, what they do, what they don't do. And obviously there was one person by the name of Henry. Henry was on there. He had 25 good 5-star ratings for SMUG. And there were 52 underneath of him bad ratings. So whoever hired this organization either was desperate, didn't know what they were doing, had no idea what they're doing, or all of the above. And it's proven because of what they're doing to us. Okay, let's go on to the next area. We've covered our books. We've covered the insurance. Now we're going to cover our association. Our association being a 503c organization, and we have all this, which we all know and we all sign for. is an organization that watches out for the health, welfare, and safety of all of their owners. And when we elect trustees, they're trustees first, then the trustees among themselves decide who's going to be secretary, treasurer, vice president, and president. Now, under Mr. Musterman, the secretary and treasurer were the same person. He did not have the vice president as a treasurer or the president as a treasurer. The secretary treasurer is here. The president is supposed to oversee things. The vice president is the backup. The secretary treasurer, this person right here, is the most important person in this organization. The secretary is the keeper. She's the communicator. She is the guardian of all information. So instead of this person here, the president, having our personal information book in a 4-inch binder, which is illegal and stated in all of our rules, regulations, and bylaws, the secretary is to have that book because she's the communicator. The communicator is the one who gets the message out to all of us if something needs to be done or if there has to be a letter sent. She has our personal information, not this one. She does. She's also the treasurer because she's the communicator, she's the overseer, she's the guardian of our money. Now, we have hired a property manager, and they're supposed to be doing the managing. The property manager is supposed to do the work orders, pay the bills, interview contractors, and find the best ones for us, not the only ones for us, and then go from there. That's their job. But the secretary-treasurer is the one who has it all, and she is the most important person in this whole organization, not these two. Very, very important. So health, welfare, safety of all the units and residents, and to make our investments grow. That's what's going on, and it's all stated in book 7267, page 984. It's all here. Mr. Musterman set up the best possible homeowners association that he could think of, and he did it, and he did a great job of it. So the keeper is the communicator, the holder, and one of our major protectors, whereas these two just oversee. They're not supposed to be doing this. Also, one other thing that has to be done with the treasurer is she has to have a bond. Now, at this time, our vice president is treasurer. I have asked for the bond in 7 letters, verbal communication, and text message, or email, sorry. I'm not saying a bond. The reason for the bond is to make sure that they don't embezzle our money, that they don't spend it unwisely, run off with it, or any of the above, which is highly probable because they could. There's a lot of money floating through here. We have $1 million a year floating through this organization. And if we don't have a bond on that person, and they should decide to go hasta la vista, baby, our money could go with them, and we have to be very careful on all of that. So, let's go on to the next one. So we've covered the association and SMUD. We're in triple jeopardy, just as a review. Information was requested from Smith about getting all that information. Haven't gotten anything. They haven't submitted our paperwork as far as we know. They're behind times, and they're running about 6 months behind. So we do know that. We have to have an audit. We need a 4-year audit. We just absolutely have to have a 4-year audit. We need to know what's going on and what's not going on. And remember, if you're buying or selling a unit, you need to cover your bases. Make sure that you have the condo rules, regulations, bylaws, and everything in a folder. Hand it to the buyer. And they need to submit proper financials, which haven't had. All right, let's talk about work orders. It's a big deal. Work orders. Okay. If you have been here for any length of period of time, you know that the only way we can get things done is submit work orders. Work orders have to be submitted through Town Square currently. Before, we would call up Cindy or Keith or Greg, Debbie, Pat. We've had quite a few people over the last 20 years. They came right out. They had Robin and Dave come, and before that we had a couple of others. They came right out and did whatever we needed. Gutters, tree trimming. I know one unit had to have the window replaced because water was leaking in from the siding. They did the water repair, they did the drywall repair, and they repainted and made it perfect. All that was very simply done. Now, having to call Town Square and going through all the people, put it back on our Town Square here, going through all these people, who knows where it is? And if you've had one sitting out there for 2 years, 6 months, 5 months, 10 months, where is it? Apparently this person here has the book. Apparently this person puts it into her filing system in the book, or puts it on a dusty shelf. Who knows where it is? But work orders are to be done in the order they come in, or if you have a grouping, to be done. It's also stated in our rules, regulations, and the Secretary Treasurer is supposed to have it. Book 7267, page 995, Rules and Regulations. So the Secretary Treasurer is supposed to have those work orders. She gets it organized. She works with the property manager to get the contractor, the right person to come in to do it. They bid it out. It should first of all go to a nonprofit, because we are a nonprofit. Then it gets decided upon who can do the best job and when they can do it. And then we go from there. So the Secretary Treasurer should have that binder. I've asked Madonna, who is now the Secretary, if she has it. She won't respond. I have no idea. I believe this person here, the President, still has it, like she still has the binder with our personal information, which is violating, again, all of our rules, regulations. Everything. Everything is violated. So if the Secretary Treasurer has that book, then she can organize with the contractors to when it gets done, which is very, very important. As we get into these work orders, I feel very sorry for the ones who have put in one for 18 months ago, 6 months ago, 5 months ago, because I know what's happening and has witnessed it. That many of the homes that have work orders on them, done and performed on them, are being done in favor of this person right here, the President. Because there's been 14 listings and sales in this development in the last 18 months. And out of those 14 listings and sales, miracles have happened. The work orders are done, SWAT trucks are out there, things are done, and all of a sudden these people can move in. Now how does that happen? How does that happen? Well, it was quoted and recorded at the July 26th meeting by 2 lovely ladies in our audience, that they were promised by the President and her husband that if they bought that condo, because my wife is on the board, you will make sure that all your stuff gets done right away. Discrimination, the worst possible thing that can happen. If your work orders have been put on the back shelf, on the back burner, by this person holding the book, you are being discriminated. It doesn't matter whether you need something done in your fireplace, whether you need something on your flashing, it doesn't mean anything except you have been discriminated against. Discrimination is part of maintenance and moving others ahead of yours. If you have been moved to the back burner, you're totally discriminated against. Let's talk about some other discrimination things. Favoritism. If someone is favored over someone else and getting their work done ahead of yours, that is favoritism, and it's steering, and it's for financial gain of a certain person. Leverage. If the work order is not being done, or they call someone in and they look at it and they walk away, or they close it out, you're being discriminated against. If you're being harassed in any way, shape, or form, that's discrimination. How many of you have gone to the pool and all of a sudden your key card didn't work? Or your key card worked the day before and your key card doesn't work today? Oh, and then you get a letter back from the Vice President that says, oh, it was just something wrong with your key card. When actually the pool monitor, who is not a legal resident, who's being paid $3,300 a season, also is not supposed to be there, wouldn't let you in because of who you were, your ethnic background, or anything else going on. What about all the other items that we can talk about? Leaks from fireplaces, the ceilings that aren't taken care of, but yet other units got done. Why haven't yours? So it should be a work order that is getting done, being taken care of on your behalf, because health, safety, and maintenance and investment is what this is all about. And these people are supposed to be taking care of that. So as we go on from discrimination, discrimination also involves fair housing. All of you have signed a HUD sheet. All of you have signed the papers All of you have done a mortgage, probably, many of you anyway. If you have had a mortgage, you signed a HUD sheet, and you have closed on your property, whether it was 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, or last week, fair housing and discrimination fall hand in hand. Because you have signed those documents, you have abided by, and you promise to abide by the covenants, rules, restrictions, and bylaws. It's filed at the courthouse under your name and your address. And anything you do, no matter who it is, if you violate something, you're violating the law. And the law is recorded at the courthouse. And you can be in big trouble, because if HUD, Housing and Urban Development, who rules and governs all of our housing, finds out this is what can happen, they will do an investigation. The investigation can take 18 to 24 months. I have witnessed one, and it is absolute nightmare for everybody. They will go knocking door to door. They can come and interview you. They might not interview everyone, but they will interview people. And everybody involved in discrimination and fair housing will be investigated. Board members, trustees, homeowners, contractors, the management company, any workers that come out here, the lawn people, the snow people, everybody gets investigated, because this is what HUD does. HUD controls everything. HUD controls all of our loans. The loans are sold from your broker or your bank to Freddie and Fannie Mae. Guess what? They're government agencies. Your VA loan goes to VA. They're government backed. FHA is government backed. All these are involved with HUD, the United States government, and all the laws that are filed at the courthouse. So if something happens, we could lose the support of government-backed loans. We could also have a terrible, terrible time getting inspections done and getting other things provided to us. So we have to watch discrimination, HUD, fair housing. And it has been quoted by some of the board members that they deliberately didn't like some of the ethnic groups that were in our development. And I'm sorry to say it, but it has been witnessed and notarized by people. Can't do it. It's in all of our bylaws. No discrimination, no nothing. Sorry to say, but it's happening. And unfortunately, until we put a stop to it, until we stop the people that are doing it, it's not going to stop, and we have to put a stop to it. It's really a sad thing for me, because I am a broker realtor for Keller Williams, and I can't stand fair housing being violated or discrimination, because under the law, under the Constitution, under the Bill of Rights, and under the bundle of rights for home ownership, everyone is equal. No one is above or below the law, and that's how it works. I would like to mention one other thing. I have a suggestion about trying to build up the coffers of our reserve accounts. There are many associations that I worked with and have established and helped set up, and what they've done is they have an initiation fee, a one-time fee when a home or condo is sold, that the buyer pays in to the reserve account about $1,000. It could be $500, $750, or $1,000, somewhere in that price range. But if someone put that in, it's a one-time fee, it's called an initiation fee, and it goes straight into the capital account or reserve account. That money is not to be touched or used unless a major catastrophe happens. And I would suggest that as a moneymaker item, something we can talk about, something we can do. And that's done across the country, not just in certain places, but across the country. So we've got a couple of things we can do. The roofs can be sprayed with Teflon. We can increase the coffers by having money deposited in our reserve accounts. We can go after non-profit organizations to help us bid out our contracts. And we can get volunteers, grant money, and we can get subsidies. We can also have endowments. We're a 503c charity. Remember that. So we can get endowments, and we can get all kinds of funding and write grant letters to help build up Autumn Lakes. Now, the last article I want to talk about today is the one that hurts me the most. Our lakes, our beautiful, beautiful lakes, our beautiful trees, Autumn Lakes. That's what it's all about. Mr. Musterman built the tree, or put the trees in 40 to 50 years ago, and unfortunately some of them are gone. A lot of them are gone. But we can replace them. We have a source where we can get free trees. I know some trees have been replaced, but we won't be able to enjoy them because we won't be around here to enjoy them. But our future owners, children, grandchildren might be able to enjoy our trees again like we did. But that's Our thoughts were to have a beautification day for Autumn Lakes, have the kids from the different departments at school come and help plant. We can get free mulch. I know where there's some free mulch that we can get. We can mulch the trees, and we can beautify Autumn Lakes again. Now the lakes, that's a different story. We have a problem with the lakes, and everybody knows it. Our lakes, unfortunately, over the last 2 to 3 years, we had 3 people involved in the lakes: Dick Ornberg, Laura Farkas, and Charlotte Smith. People don't like leaves, they don't like trees, so they killed the trees, cut them away. But they also ruined our lakes. Well, this is one of our lakes, and we do know for a fact, and Dick Ornberg verified it in one of our emails, that they did spray Roundup all the way around all of our lakes. Roundup, as you know, was made by Monsanto, which is now owned by Bayer, right down the street here on Lindbergh. Roundup is a unique product. It works well, it kills well, does a lot of stuff. Roundup is a plant killer. What it does is it is sprayed onto the plant leaves right here, and it kills the photosynthesis of your plant. As it kills the photosynthesis of the plant and kills the leaves, it also, that chemical, goes down, down, and down. It goes on into the roots and eventually kills it. But the problem with Roundup is it's a carcinogenic. It causes cancer. But it not only causes cancer, it causes death. So in a plant system, if you know, and look anywhere you've seen Roundup sprayed, it always turns brown. So this is being killed and this is going down. Now this will eventually deteriorate. It takes about 6 to 12 months to deteriorate. It goes into the ground and it percolates down into the ground. The only problem with this is this contamination, this Roundup, is in the ground. So if we have water that percolates down, it goes down and comes down. And if you have water near it, like we do the lakes, that can also get into the water. So you have Roundup on the plants all around the lakes, and then the plants themselves deteriorate and go into the ground. So you have contamination here for 6 to 12 months. Now that will eventually wash out, but also as it washes out, it washes into the lakes. So we have to be careful about that. So remember, it turns brown, flows down to the roots, below the ground, takes 9 to 12 months, 6 to 12 months, and it can flow into the water, which becomes a problem. Now, the next episode of the lakes is we don't know what happened to all the beautiful lily pads we had, the frogs, the fish. We don't know what happened. Now, we've been told 2 different things on the fountain. Dick Ornberg had to have this $11,000 fountain from his friend in North Carolina. Keith McCracken from ANC had already bought a fountain. The fountain he bought was cast iron, metal, ready to go for $7,000. Dick Ornberg had to have an $11,000 one bought from his friend, which I believe was probably cheaper, probably plastic or aluminum inside, and probably couldn't withstand the water. Now, we were told 2 different times, 2 different things by Laura Farkas, that a snapping turtle bit the line, and that's why the fountain doesn't work. And then we heard that something else happened on the fountain that tore it up, but it wasn't a snapping turtle. Now, if it was fish or weeds or something like that, it could have gotten into the pump.
3-foot water snake.
3-foot water snake, okay. So we've heard all kinds of things. Wow. If that is the case, if a snapping turtle came and bit the line, you pull the line, you splice it together, and you put it in conduit. And why in the heck wasn't that put in conduit in the first place? Anything that's electric goes in water, you put it in conduit. Give me a break. Anything. If it was a water snake that got in there, how in the heck did it get in there? Did it get in through the pump? The pump hole is not that big. It should have had a filter or a screen on it. If it was a lily pad or debris or stick or rock, should have had a screen on it. But maybe this $11,000 pump that we had didn't come with any of that, and nobody had the foresight to figure that out. So we have no pump. What happens when you have no pump in a 15-foot or 12-foot deep lake, which we all paid to dredge out a couple years ago? There's no aeration. If there's no aeration in there, guess what? There's no air. If there's no air, what happens to the fish and the plants and everything in there? They die. They're dead. Now, the other thing is, what happened to all the lily pads that were over here? Somebody sprayed and dumped some chemical in there. Now, we have tried numerous occasions, 5 of us that I know of have called Solitude, Walden Ponds, the board, Smug, everybody, and not one person will tell us what the heck is going on. Not one person. Now, we as board members, we have the right to know everything that happens in our development. We have the right to books, we have the right to information, we have the right to find out what the heck they did in our pond. Because this is what's going to happen. The lily pads are gone. The fish, I don't know if they're dead or if they were sterilized, that they can't produce. I don't know what was in there. But if they dump something like Grazon in there, I'm just guessing. I'm not a chemist. I haven't had it verified. Until we have water samples done, I don't know for sure. If they dump Grazon in there, guess what? Grazon is the chemical that turns wheat, flowing, beautiful green fields of wheat brown the next day, so that they can combine and cut the wheat, so it's all at the same moisture temperature, and they can bale the straw, and they can cut the wheat and make flour and things like that. That's what Grazon does. It kills, and kills. And it lasts in your item. It's in your flour, it's in your straw, it's in the ground, it's in everywhere for years. You can have it for 5 or 6 years. The lifetope or lifespan on that one is unending. So if this is Grazon or something along those lines that were dumped in here, like I said, I'm not a chemist, I'm not a biologist, I'm not an environmentalist. But whatever was dumped in here, we have a problem with. Because we have to start by taking water samples. So the water is penetrated with some sort of poison, and I'm going to call it poison, because we don't know. It clings to all the plants. Do you know a lily pad, when you have a 12-foot deep lake, goes 2 feet under that into the ground to hold itself in place? So we have 14 feet we have to deal with. It contaminates the water, whatever was dumped in there, and the water flows through the spillway, down under the road, under the condos, under the pipes, and it ended up down at the River Road processing plant. Does everybody know that's our drinking water? That's our drinking water, and they dumped something in this lake. Now, what's going to happen, I have called in an EPA specialist, and they're looking to find someone who can take water samples for us. The only way we can do is to start taking water samples, and what happens is, they usually take about 6 to 12 water samples all the way around the lake. And then they take it to a special EPA lab, and that lab will determine what concentration level, the parts per million, ppm, is in there of whatever this poison is. So if it is strong enough, they can tell us what's in there. Now if it's dissipated and there's only a tracing of it, that would be great. But if it's not, then what's going to happen is they will come in with a big well-type equipment and do a core bore drilling. The core bore drilling will go down all the way to the dirt underneath the water. So this core bore drilling can be done, and they will take samples of that dirt to find out if this is contaminated. So if our water's contaminated or over the limit, they can come in and do this. This is what if. So this can be done. Now, if that's done, and this is a problem, then they're going to go into all those pipes. They go on down to River Road, and they'll actually do scrapings. They'll get up in there and scrape it. And they'll see how many parts per million the scrapings are holding of the contaminant that was dumped in the water. So they'll check to make sure that it's not coming down to River Road, it's not contaminating the water you're drinking and going from there. Now, if we do have a problem, because these people have not divulged what they did, and no one will tell us, this is what could happen. They may make us drain the lake. They may make us clean the dirt. And they may make us clean up the conduit all the way down to River Road. This is a maybe. I don't know. I'm not a chemist. I'm not a biologist. But this scares me more than anything. When I see dead water that looks like a cesspool and smells like one, these are the things that can happen. And guess what? The water would have to be taken to Clean Harbors in East St. Louis. That's going to cost some money. They're going to have to take the soil somewhere where contaminated soil goes. Then they're going to have to check the culverts. Who knows what's going to happen? But until we find out from the people like these people right here that tell us, they're not going to tell us, then we don't know what they did or what they didn't do. And that scares me more than anything, because if we have to do all this, and the liability is going to come back on Autumn Lakes, we're in trouble. We're in big trouble. So I'm hoping and praying that somehow this is not as bad as it could be, but I have witnessed environmental 6 contaminant things that had to be done and taken care of. We have to do them at all places that have chemicals, all places that have gas stations, fuel dumps, restaurants sometimes because they dump their stuff in the ground. I have witnessed this, and this is not fun. This is really bad for Autumn Lakes. But I'm hoping that we can figure out what's going on and what can be done to save us. So in essence, we have things we can do, the Mend and Reconciliation Committee. We have people that have stepped up to the plate that are willing to help us. There are people that are wanting to help us. There are people with fantastic, great ideas in Autumn Lakes. We have so many professional people. We have accountants, we have engineers, we have project managers, we have business people, we have people that know how to run a 503c, which we do not have working there now. And this is not a profit, this is a non-profit organization, so we can get help. We can have things done and corrected, and we can make Autumn Lakes the Autumn Lakes it used to be, or even better. I foresee it even being better because of all the people we have. So we have lots of opportunities. All of you are included in this. Every one of you is a member of Autumn Lakes, and every one of you should be partaking in all of this. Don't be buffaloed by what is or what has been. Don't leave it go for any longer because it's just getting worse. The monies we have to find money. We've got to rebuild our coffers up. Everything needs to be done. And I'm not doing this to get on the board. I'm not doing it as a realtor to get another realtor. That is not my position on this. My position is because I live here. I'm a homeowner, I'm a business person, and I want to see us grow and get back to where it was and have a great community again, where we all wave at each other. We all say hi to each other, and we're not afraid to look at each other, and we don't have to go out and think weird things anymore. But we have so many great ethnic people here. We have so many diversifications here. We need all of you to help us, and we need all of you on board so that we can make this a better Autumn Lakes. And I welcome you to contact me either at my email or on my phone or stop by the house, whatever you need. We are very willing to help you figure out what you can do. We'd like to start up by having co-chair people of our committees so that more than one is running the organization, so that we can have a health and welfare. We need to go out checking on each other. We need to go make sure that everyone's okay in their condos, or that their condos, what do they need? We need to make sure that why you got a $15 charge on your condo assessment this month. Is it because the mail didn't get there? Did they even look about the postmark? Did they even check when your check was written or your charge was put in? There's so many great things we can do. We can do the Health and Welfare Committee. We can do a social committee. We have so many great things that can be done and can be planned here in Autumn Lakes. And it's all for you and us as homeowners and members. We are the members. And we need to take action and get this done and taken care of the right way. So I can't stress to you anymore. We have insurance. We can do a new board. We've got books. We've got several violations. We've got violations from signage on cars to signs out everywhere. You know, why are we not collecting money from the ones that are violating things? I just don't understand that, because we are all part of this association. So in essence, please help, please join us, please be with us. We're not trying to hurt anyone, we're trying to help. And that's what it's all about, helping Autumn Lakes, because we are here with you as homeowners and members of Autumn Lakes. Thank you so much, have a wonderful day, and God bless everybody in Autumn Lakes. Thank you. Together, let's rebuild Autumn Lakes. Here's what we need to be cleaned up. Here's what needs to be cleaned up first. Why change is needed at the head of Autumn Lakes Board of Trustees. Failure to follow the HOA bylaws, restrictions, covenants, and rules, and indentures. Breach of contract, part of our mortgage signage settlement. They have made us breach our mortgages and our notes by dumping stuff in the lake, hazard materials, and by not following the bylaws, covenants, and restrictions that we all signed for. Failure to maintain the entire property for both associations, both, not just one. Fiduciary failure by unilaterally hiring Smith Management Group, or SMUG, the homeowners should have put in and should have been included in the approval of them. Conflict of interest by the board president, abuse of power, failure to maintain, and everything else. There's 5 items that she has broken according to our bylaws and indentures. Failure to follow the rules. Rule violated or ignored. Board must bring major changes or expenditures to homeowners. Driveways, $55,000 was done on the driveways. What is it going to cost to do the top coating now? Who knows? It's not in the budget. This includes a change of property management companies. Major considerations are the $25,000 change. $25,000 and above for any major changes. We need to put that in an amendment and file it at the courthouse for the homeowners to decide on. Proposed remedies, start asking homeowners for approval. Number 1, communication. That's the big deal. Involve interested homeowners in proposing problems and solutions. We have so many brilliant, intelligent people here in Autumn Lakes that they have fantastic ideas. We have emails, text messages, phone calls. We have all kinds of things here to show that we have people that want to help and want to do it. A mandatory break-in service. According to our rules and regulations and bylaws, you come on the board for 3 years and you go off. You allow someone else to come in who has great ideas. And we have to rotate the officer positions. These people cannot stay in the same position for 3 years. Consider possible revisions of any rules considered to be cumbersome. This would require a special amendment like we did in 2014. Has to be written, filed, and recorded and time-stamped at the St. Louis County Courthouse. That's the only way it can be done. And that could include doing our initiation fee of $1,000 per every new buyer. It could be any type of thing like that. We've got several things that we can add to it. Breach of contracts. This is the wrongdoing. 1 month or more of HOA fees on the buyer's settlement sheet. The one that I saw had 3 months. 300 times 3, $900 additional. If that was done by Smith Management Group or SMUG, it wasn't done with our permission. That puts us in double jeopardy. That has to be amended. If we're going to do that, we have to include that in the amendment that we need to file at the St. Louis County Courthouse. Settlement documents, the resale cert that says that there's no capital expenditures known. Driveways, roofs, chimneys, decks. I know the deck is part of the homeowner's responsibility, but the flashing and the siding that's leaking, we have major, major expenses. Here's some remedies. Collect the HOA fees up front at closing, but that takes an amendment. A one-time buy of $1,000, which I just talked about. And that is a common HOA practice across the country. That's not just in 1 or 2 places, that's across the country. And it must go into reserve accounts. And by law, the association must disclose any expenditures on any project. That's the law. That's federal law. That's not even just HOA here. Failure to maintain Autumn Lakes properties, non-maintenance. Annual rotation of painting. 2 years ago now, I think, since Mark painted. Hasn't been done. No tuck pointing, no roofs. No expensive repairs. Replace siding. Just repair sidings. Just several things. Serious maintenance on buildings being ignored. No communication with residents about proposed repairs. Where's the work orders? Who's taking care of the work orders? Nobody knows. And where's the work orders that have been in for so long? Who knows? Viable old growth hardwoods. Are trees removed rather than pruned? Considered at a cost. We should do a 1-to-1 replacement. And the poor lakes. We just talked about the lakes. The lakes. Our beautiful lakes. It breaks my heart. Here's the remedies. Prioritize the most important needs. We need to go through those lists of work orders. We need to find out which ceilings are leaking from the fireplaces or the chimneys, which houses are getting mold. Right now we have mold growing in houses. There's families in those houses with mold. We have got to take care of that immediately. That's for the health, safety, and maintenance of this development, which are in our bylaws that our board is supposed to be taking care of. Where are they? What are they doing? Nothing. Inform the homeowners of the state of affairs, lack of reserve funds, lack of funding in the checking account. I won't mention the one I just found. That was terrible. Allow homeowners to input in ways to save money and increase reserves. We all have good ideas, we just need to get them out there, and we need to be heard instead of shot down or ignored. Seek creative ways to pay the amenities upkeep and repairs. HOA fees are required to run with the CPI. The Consumer Price Index is what our HOA fees are supposed to be based upon, not just on arbitrary 8% or 7.5%. We've already done that, I've already talked about it. It should have been 7 last year, not 8. The year before it was 6.5, it went 8. This year, 3.4% is CPI right now. So let's make sure that they keep it that way. The lakes, aquatic, and other wildlife under authority of the Missouri Department of Natural Resources. The Missouri Department of Natural Resources has not come through yet, but we can bug them again and ask them to, maybe they can take our water samples, maybe they can help us figure this out. All bylaws, covenants, and restrictions signed for and acknowledged by the ownership of Autumn Lakes. Every one of you should have signed a condominium doc on your paperwork that said that you received it, you acknowledge it, and you promise to live by it, and it's also in your mortgage and your note filed at the courthouse. Now, you should have also received your book from your agent or whoever, and you should have gotten a resale certificate, and I hope you did. If you didn't, we got to figure that out. Fiduciary failure by unilaterally hiring SMG, SMUG. We had no homeowner input or approval. So the board is responsible to hire a property management company, but they're also supposed to bring it to, according to our bylaws, bring it to the board, to the membership's attention. They should have had 2 or 3 to select from. They should have presented 2 or 3 and allowed us to vote on it, because it's our money, it's our association, not theirs. Remember, they are the guardians of the association, not the rulers. We are the bride, they are the groom. They are to take care of us as homeowners and our membership. Now, SMG or SMUG doesn't keep proper records. I can show numerous times. It takes them 4 to 6 months to get books to us. It takes 4 to 6 months to even get the right books to us, which I still haven't seen the right ones. And there is very, very poor customer relations with them. They have too many in their coffers, 140 other properties that they're managing, and they've gone through 5, 6, 7, 8 people, who knows how many at this point in time. Here's the remedies. We need to charter a project team to find a replacement for SMG. We need to vet them, use benchmarking and best practices for them. The team represents recommendations to the board and the homeowners. The team will develop and implement plans for a smooth transition, which is going to take 90 to 120 days. And with all of us coming together, finding someone who will really work for us, we can get it all done by the 1st of January. Conflict of interest for the board president and abuse of power. Oh, this is a big one. This is a really wrongdoing according to our rules and regulations. Board president uses her position on the board as marketing device while focusing on condo sales, reports promise to condo repairs for people, and the facilitation of occupancy permits because she knows the inspectors. That has been quoted to us several times. So this is a conflict of interest, abuse of power, and abuse of authority, because she's using her influence to influence what happens to your property. Favoritism, allowing the HOA fee delinquency and extending gardens for some while denying other things to others. And it's not just gardens. It's flags, it's going to the pool, it's getting repairs done that the association has always taken care of, between the leaks and the ceiling damage, and then finding out that another one's been taken care of that's going to soon be listed. Favoritism and allowing HOA fee delinquencies. Finding and removing commercial signs on homeowners' parked vehicles. There are 3 citations in our bylaws and indentures. No vendor signs anywhere. And Laura Farkas can vouch for this. She knows it, she's seen it, and she is right there. She saw it. And our president knows it, and she should be fined. As of July 26, 2 vehicles for 7 years was $255,000. We turned it into the board. The board is supposed to act on it. That means they notify the person, then they fine them, and then they assess a levy on their home. That means in 91 days, that home can be sold at sheriff's sale for $255,000. Not that it would bring $255,000, but she owes, and the board is to follow the rules and regulations just like the rest of us, and just like she threatens all of us. Denying some residents that are owners and disallowing the use of amenities. This happens at the pool. It also happened at the basketball court. It's happened at several locations. And since there has been put out by these two parties a rule of ethics, or a document that the board had to sign on ethics, that I will not do, I will not do, I will not do. I will not tell anybody about the board meeting. I will not tell anything that's been discussed. I won't tell if I get a referral fee. There's probably 15 items on each item, and yet this board is supposed to notify us of all meetings and all things. They're not there for themselves, they're there for us. Communication, we are supposed to know who, what, when, and where, all the time. Here's the remedies. Remove the board president and bar from future trustee roles, and insist on ethical realtors. It's ethical business people, it's everybody. Treat all homeowners and residents fairly and with dignity. How many of our homeowners, because they may be ethnic, have been put down? Many. We've heard from several. Improve progress for homeowners and their legitimate guests to use the amenities. We have a rule that as long as the homeowner is there with the guests at the pool, tennis court, basketball court, pickleball court, anything, they are allowed to use it. Or the grandchildren of people that own here. Fix the key card process. Don't block out people. That one has happened several times where certain people were not allowed to go in and get it worked the day before and it worked the next day. Some excuse from the vice president was that, oh, the key cards weren't working. That's not true. The board to hold president accountable for fines using commercial signs while parking 2 cars on the street. That we talked about, $255,000. There's a certain person in our development that wants to raise our monthly fees to $500 a month. Here you go, buddy. Go collect $255,000, give her the bill. The second bill is, there's garbage cans sitting out at the garage on Autumn Lakes Drive. Guess what? If you don't get your garbage can put in by 5 o'clock, then all of a sudden you've got a fine. Well, let's go get the fine on her. And that's been since February 14th. That was her email that went out. So since February 14th to today, it's $9,075. $9,075 in fines to her, because she is in charge of the garbage cans. Who would have thought that this person who's running our organization is in charge of garbage cans, the books, the personal information, the work orders, all the committees, and everything that goes on in here. This person cannot do that. Cannot do that. She cannot do that. We need to investigate and audit the payments to any board members. We also need to investigate SMUG. We have to investigate and audit for the last 4 years our books. Our books are atrocious. I would be happy to sit down with someone and you tell me how these numbers are working. They're not. They're not working and our money's gone. We have to hire auditors to review all of these. So the next steps to build Autumn Lakes. We're offering as much as we can because all of us have fantastic ideas. We're going to discuss with the homeowners and learn what's needed to improve morale and our property values. Health, safety, maintenance, and investment. That's what the board of directors is supposed to do. You have 2 trustees and the board of directors. Health, safety, welfare, maintenance, and investment. Our investment. That's the price of your house going up instead of down. Charter team members of volunteers to go after and replace and work on finding a new property management company. There's many, many out there. A lot of them offer referral fees. A lot of them do weird things, but we're not looking for somebody like that. We want somebody who can really take this in their hands and help put it back together again. And even if it's AMC, I have no problems with AMC. Keith and Greg were fantastic. I know some people didn't like them. They felt there was some favoritism. But did you bother to go and talk to the guys and say, hey, I really need your help? Did you, it's a simple thing. It's called communication. Board president and vice president to resign at the homeowners meeting, hopefully on Wednesday, the 16th of August. That would be the best scenario for all parties right now. Because if not, we have all of this information that we put together ready to go in packets in overnight mail to HUD, FHA, VA, the Real Estate Commission, the Secretary of State, ALCA, everything. We can turn it all over to them. And I believe a couple of TV stations have been called. Next, call for trustees and candidates and orient them on creating a slate. We would like volunteers to come forward that have professional things or non-professional things. If you just have great ideas and want to help out. This is all voluntary. The board is not to be paid. They're all voluntary, just like the pool monitor. Voluntary, no payment. There's $3,300 allotted for the pool person right now. Who would have known? That's not in an amendment anywhere. That hasn't been filed at the courthouse. That's just made up. Call for, charter short-term project teams. We have many short-term project committees which we are thinking about making. That would be to find the management company. That would be a short-term. There's some other things that would be short-term too, finding a project manager, working on the work orders, getting that organized, things like that. So there's a lot of short-term ones. It's not long-term, short-term. So if you have a limited amount of time, or you have just the summer, or just the fall, or just the winter, and you want to do something because maybe your work isn't quite as heavy, or you're not going to be gone, or whatever, that would be great. Because we have a lot of short-term things that can happen, and we all work together. We want to implement a variety of programs to find common ground and rebuild the community together. With our great ideas and great professional people that have come forward, oh my goodness, the things that we can accomplish, there is absolutely no end to this, no end to what we can do. Board to levy same fines prescribed to others against president or husband for the cars. We're going to reiterate that. Sign violation, sign violation, sign violation. Mr. Musterman put that in specifically so that we did not look like a commercial entity, so that we didn't look junky, so that we could live in a very high prospective neighborhood. That's why there's no billboards in Autumn Lakes. So together, all of us can make this happen. Great ideas, great committees, short-term, long-term, co-chairs, co-everything. This is a shared opportunity, not single, not individual, a group, a committee. Mend and reconcile Autumn Lakes, and we're here for it. I am not going to be running for the board. I will help in every possible way because I have worked with HOAs. I have been on the 503C side, both the vice president, president, treasurer, and secretary. I have done a lot of work for this. I've also worked with a lot of commercial type listings that we had to do things that had to figure out what was wrong or not wrong. I'm very happy to do whatever I can. I'm not running for the board. I'm here as a homeowner. This hurts my heart. I've cried because I can't believe what's going on. But I'm not here to get somebody. I'm not here to replace somebody. I am here to help. Being in the position I am as a businesswoman, business owner, project manager, and a broker salesperson. I will help in any way possible. I'm here for whatever is needed. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and I appreciate you listening. Please call us and give us your ideas, and please volunteer. This is a volunteer, nonprofit, 503 organization that we can all share together. Have a great day.